Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you all tonight for this presentation for World Affairs Council of Houston's trip to South Korea in October of 2023. Well, I already know a number of you. We have been on a number of trips in the past. And for those of you who I meet for the first time, I am Ilyas. I'm located in New Jersey. And with my company Tourcom, we operate the tours for World Affairs Council of Houston for quite some time now, since 2007. So tonight I will go over this coming trip to South Korea. In a short while, I will share my screen with you and then go over the itinerary, not necessarily in the same order. As Amy mentioned, the itinerary has been emailed to you. It's also on World Affairs Council website on the travel pages. So if you go there, along with the other World Affairs Council trips in the coming year, you will find the brochure, the document for this trip with an extension to Taipei, the capital of Taiwan. And I'm going to mention that briefly too at the end of this session. So let me just start sharing my screen with you. And here it is. Whoops. Okay, share screen. Yep, here it is. Now I would think you are seeing my presentation page. And here we go. South Korea, History and Modernity, October 13th to 23rd, 11 days and 9 nights. This is just the South Korea portion. And then for those of you who want to and who can extend the tour, there is a 3-day extension, optional extension for Taipei. Now, this is a general map of the area. Now, yes. So the Korean Peninsula, as we see, surrounded by Sea of Japan and Japan to the east, and Yellow Sea and China to the west and north, and a small border with Russia here. These are the lifelines for North Korea, and also from China, of course, the main supporters of North Korea. Just we may go over that very briefly, maybe, but our main area of interest for this evening is South Korea, the southern part of the peninsula. Seoul, the capital, is to the north of the country, and Pyongyang, just we see the name here, the capital of North Korea, to the north. Well, between them, it's about 3 hours drive from Seoul to Pyongyang, if it were possible, of course. After the armistice in 1953-54, the end of the stopping the armistice for the Korean War across the 38th parallel, the peninsula was divided into two. Even before that, actually, the country, the South, had already claimed its independence, declared its independence in 1948, and got the official name of Republic of Korea. So we call South Korea and North Korea, but they are not the official names. I need to remind the official names for South Korea is ROK, Republic of Korea, whereas North Korea is known as DPRK, Democratic People's Republic of Korea. So if I just zoom in a little bit to South Korea, this is a country of about 39,000 square miles, which corresponds to more or less the size of Kentucky or Ohio, if we compare with US states, just to get an idea, with a population of 52 million people. Just to compare, North Korea is about half of it, 20 6 million people. So 52 to 26. So in the southern part of this peninsula, Republic of Korea, South Korea, we will call from now on. The areas we're going to visit will be Seoul, the capital, and the area around Seoul, which is to the northwest of the country, and Busan, Ulsan, Gyeongju area, the coastal area to the southeast of the country. So we will spend 9 days, 9 nights actually. Out of 9, 6 nights will be in the capital, just visiting the city and a number of locations outside the city, including DMZ, of course. And 3 nights will be in the Busan, Ulsan, Gyeongju area to the south east. So our tour, we will fly into Seoul. The suggested flights will be on Eva Air. That is a Taiwanese airline. There are direct flights from Houston to Taipei, and then from Taipei to Seoul. They give the best connection and best flight times. That's why we chose. And of course, it also gave us the opportunity to have that extension in Taipei on the way back from Seoul. So we will arrive Seoul around noon. Well, actually, the airport is not in Seoul, but in Incheon. It is this island, and with the traffic, it takes about an hour to drive from the airport to the hotel. So just in the middle of the afternoon or late afternoon, we'll be at the hotel, check in, and just get rest and get some sleep, maybe try to get rid of our jet lag. And the next day, we will start with our visits in Seoul. Now, I said the population of the country, about 52 million people. Out of 52, about 12 million people live in the capital, in Seoul. And here we see a somewhat night view of the city. The city is divided into two by Han River. It's a big metropolis with modern skyscrapers, subways, pop culture, and also there is the historic side to it, the Buddhist temples, palaces, and street markets. So we will have enough time to witness and to experience both sides of this culture, both sides of this city. So Seoul is the largest city, obviously, in the country. It is the financial center, the cultural center, and with the being one of the leading economies of the world. It has the headquarters of 15 Fortune Global 500 companies. We all know just the big names of Samsung and LG and Hyundai. So the headquarters of these companies are also located in Seoul. So this is Han River dividing the city into two. And this is another aerial view with all the high rises. And we will start our first day, though, not with the high rises, not with the modern capital, but with the historic part of the city. This is the gate of Gyeongbok Palace. And the Gyeongbok Palace in this center of the city, and this was built in 1395. And well, this is not the only palace in the city. There were and there still are the remnants of a number of other palaces, but this is the biggest and well-preserved one. So we are going to visit this Gyeongbok Palace, which is commonly referred to as the Northern Palace because it's located to the north of the old town. And there's also the Eastern Palace and Western Palace. But this is, as I've said, the most, the best preserved one. Now, occasionally they have various historic ceremonies going on over there. So during our visit, we may have the chance to see these, guards and soldiers with their historic costumes, changing guards, and also in the vicinity there is the palace museum, which we are going to visit. Also, the folkloric museum, the cultural museum. And the palace is surrounded by big gardens with various structures. We'll also have chance to and time to walk around and learn the history of this palace and historic Seoul. The premises were destroyed in towards the end of 16th century, but then at the beginning of 19th century, it was restored. And what we see today is that version. And another historic part of the city, well, partially modernized, I would say, Gwanghwamun Plaza. Now, the plaza itself is opened in 2009 as a renovation project with the municipality of Seoul, but it preserves a number of historic remnants from the old times of Seoul, some statues of historic personalities that we are going to talk and learn about. And also in the middle of the city, there is this stream that is also a part of the renovation project of the current municipality, Cheon River or stream, as a recreational area that connects to the old part of the city. That provides some open space for the people of Seoul. Now, again, another historic part of the city is Jogyesa Temple. Jogyesa Temple from the 14th century, and this is one of the main temples of Korean Buddhism. It's always popular with the Buddhist population of Korea, and always there's something going on. So it is a good location, good place to meet Koreans and to learn about Korean Buddhism. Now, speaking about religion in Korea, well, about 56% of the population claim no religion, and 28% is Christian, and 16% is Korean Buddhism. So just, the majority claim no religion means they are either, they don't practice or they practice all, just whenever convenient, they go to they visit a Buddhist temple, or wherever convenient, they go to a Christian church or some animistic temples. So as you see, Christianity took hold in the country with 28% of the population. On this day also, we will visit one of the old streets of the city, Insarong Antique Street, with small shops and coffee houses and tea houses. So it's going to be an interesting time, interesting afternoon to visit those small shops and get information about the historic artifacts in the antique shops. After our first city, visiting the historic part of Seoul, we will go all the way down southeast to Busan, the second largest city. Now, we will take the train, KTX, the Korean Train Express. Korea is one of the few countries, along with Japan, France, and China now, that has these bullet trains, the high-speed trains, which are called KTX, Korea Train Express. And from Seoul to Busan, it takes about 2.5 hours. The high-speed line started in And the construction started in 1992, and services started in 2004. And the regular service is currently with a top speed of 190 miles per hour, which is designed for actually for more than 200 miles per hour. So that distance is covered, as I mentioned, in about 2.5 hours. So we will drive or take the train to Busan, the second biggest city to the southeast. It is also a city of high rises and ocean, just looking to the Japan Sea, towards Japan. And here we see another view. Just being in the city when we go there, just walking in the streets and visiting markets and museums, it isn't, so obvious that the city itself is an industrial center. It's a big central production for also a fishing center that we are going to actually witness the next day. I will talk about that in a short while. One of the highlights of the city for the residents especially is Hyundai Beach. That is one of the main attractions, not only for the citizens of Busan, but all around Korea. This is a resort area, and from various parts of Korea, people come this way. And there's also to the south a Jeju Island, which we will not go this time, which is a more tropical island. That's also a resort area that attracts a local people. One of the locations that we're going to visit upon our arrival will be Jagalji Fish Market. This is the main fish market in the biggest fish market in Korea and the main market in Busan. And as I mentioned, fishing is a big industry, not only in Korea, not only in Busan, in this region, but in Korea as a whole. And seafood is one of the main, items we are also going to taste during our stay. So we will visit this Jagalji fish market and get information about the fish mamas. These ladies are called, as most of the vendors in the fish market are just elderly ladies who just sell seafood in the market. Now, another location we are going to visit, an important location, is UN Memorial Cemetery. Now, before going there, just as a reminder of, just a very short reminder of how the Korean War developed, starting in 1950. At the end of 1945, of course, Japan, the Second World War ended, Japan surrendered, and US forces occupied Japan, and taking over Korea from the Japanese also occupied Korea. So the northern part was occupied by the Russians, and the war started in 1950, actually after the southern part, with the assistance of the US Provisional Administration, just claimed independence and declared the Republic of Korea in 1948. So that was kind of the event that started that caused all the others, the chain of events that started the war. This is the 38th parallel, more or less, loosely along that line. The country is, or the peninsula is now divided into two. Now, this is 1950 when the war started. We see here how it developed. And at the very beginning, as you see, the UN forces were just going up north, but with the Northern Korean Army, Korean People's Army coming south. Now it's repeating itself. UN Army at this point, by August and September of 1950, they were cornered in and around Busan to the southeast. So that is the importance of Busan. From this moment, from August and September of 1950 onwards, with the Busan counteroffensive, UN forces started to push the Korean People's Army back and went all the way up to the north of 30th parallel first, and then all the way up to Yellow River, which is today's the border with China. But then Chinese took over and they started the attack together with the Korean People's Army. So that is the importance of Busan when UN forces were cornered here and started pushing back to the Korean People's Army towards the 38th parallel. So with all these wars that we will talk in detail during the trip, of course, there were many casualties. And the UN forces, the UN soldiers who died in the war in and around Busan, this cemetery is for them. This is the UN Memorial Cemetery in Busan that we're going to visit. Here are the flags of the countries who joined with their forces in this war from 1950 to 1953. It contains about 2,300 graves, and this is the only United Nations cemetery in the world. It covers an area of about 35 acres, and there are 22 sites designated for each country who lost soldiers in the war. So we're going to spend some time in the United Nations Memorial Cemetery and get also some information about the war and how it developed in this part of the country. Then from Busan, we will start driving along the coastline up north to our destination is Gyeongju, but on the way, we will visit a number of different locations. Now, Ulsan, both Busan and Ulsan, they are big industrial centers, and they are mainly well known for the shipyards. This is the center of shipping industry in South Korea. And South Korea is well known for building huge oil tankers, container ships, LPG tankers. Just they're building the world's biggest tankers, and they are built in these huge shipyards. So there are, quite a number of them. The biggest ones, Hyundai is the biggest, the world's biggest, and then Daewoo, for example. So we will visit, if possible, Hyundai, if not Daewoo. We are going to visit one of the shipyards and learn about and see how these huge tankers are constructed. That is really very, very interesting and very informative. And then we will continue our drive up northeast, visiting another temple, another Buddhist temple, Bulguksa Temple, located on the slopes of Mount Toham. This is one of the head temples of one of the Korean Buddhist orders, Jogye order, and it today has 6 national treasures of South Korea, 2 stone pagodas, a blue cloud bridge, 2 bronze statues of Buddha, and we will have an opportunity to see a few of them during our visit. So connected to the temple is a grotto. Seokgram Grotto. This is a hermitage. Now we just climb up to the grotto, and this is the entrance to the grotto, and we enter the hermitage part and a part of the Ulguksa temple complex. And we see the hermitage and the Buddha sculptures, which are now a part of the national treasures of South Korea. And we will end up in Gyeongju area. This area was a capital of one of the ancient kingdoms of South Korea, the Kingdom of Silla, from 57 BC to 935 AD. So for about 1,000 years, they ruled about 2/3 of the Korean peninsula, and especially the 7th and to 9th centuries, the height of the Silla kingdom. And the area was quite prosperous, and this was the metropolitan capital of Gyeongju at the time. Now, in today's Gyeongju, we are here for these tumuli. You see all this tumulus, the mounds, they are burial mounds, and there's a huge park of that. There are about 22 burial mounds in this park, in this historic park. Here is another view. So we are going to visit these mounds, these ancient tombs of kings and nobles of Silla Kingdom. Some of them were excavated, and especially there is one that was excavated, and the burial chamber we can go in and see from 5th century AD with all the treasures intact. And most of the items that were excavated in the area, they are in Gyeongju National Museum, which we are also going to visit. So we will spend one whole day in Gyeongju area visiting the not only the Tumulus Park and the museum, but a number of local national parks. And the next day, we will again take the KTX train back to Seoul and drive to Suwon, which is about half an hour to 45 minutes drive to the south of Seoul. And this is another important area in the history of Korea. Of course, when we say history of Korea, there was no North and South. This is just, the recent history after 1950s. But in the way back, starting from 57 BC, there were various kingdoms, some of which managed to unify the Koreans under one flag. And this fortress in Suwon, Seoul, to the south of Seoul, Hwaseong Fortress, this is a quite recent one, which was built at the end of 18th century, from 1794 to 96, one of the kings of Joseon dynasty, and to honor his father. And we will learn about his story during our visit. And again, if we are lucky, there are various historic sports activities going on in the fortress from time to time, like archery or just horse shows. So if we are lucky, we may be able to see one of those activities. Now, Suwon is not only a historic center, but today also it is an important center, and the headquarters of Samsung is here, and they have an innovation museum where they have exhibits of the coming technologies, the new technologies that they are developing. So we'll also have a chance to visit that Samsung Innovation Museum in Suwon. Then we'll drive back to Seoul for overnight. Now, the next day is one of the big days to visit DMZ, the demilitarized zone between South and North Korea. Now, this is the black line here, this map here. Seoul is very close to the border, actually. The black line here is the border. This is Han River that divides Seoul into two. The northern part is mostly the historic part, which we saw on our first day. And the southern part, this area, is the modern Seoul, which we're going to visit the following day. But today is our excursion to the border area, to the demilitarized zone. This demilitarized zone, this is a strip of land running across the peninsula, more or less near 38th parallel north. And this divides the peninsula roughly in half, and it is the buffer zone between north and south. Now, if we cross the border and follow this highway, this is one of the main highways and maybe the only highway in good condition in North Korea. This takes us to Pyongyang, to the capital of North Korea. And this is in North Korea, Kaesong, the main city on the other side, on the northern part of the border. So what we're going to do is now, let's see the next map here. So Han River comes this way, and this is Imjinggak River, more or less following the border, and two rivers just converge and connect here, and then flow into the Yellow Sea towards China. So we will drive to this area and visit the historic park, the historic, not in the sense of, 1,000 years, but from 1950s, in Imjinggak Park. This was the area where one of the main battles took place during the Korean War, which is now turned into a park with information and about the Korean War. And then we will go to this area to visit one of the towers, observation towers, from where we can see some part of at least North Korea. So here it is. This is Dokgai Bridge. This was constructed as a railroad bridge in 1906, connecting the southern part of the country to the north. Of course, this is, during the time of Japanese occupation, and or a little bit before that, actually. And during the Korean War, it was destroyed. So that is why the bridge comes and ends here. And recently, an observation deck was constructed here. So we will also just go on and walk on this old railroad bridge and just see the view of the river. And this is the Odusan Unification Tower. This is one of the main towers from where it's possible to see North Korea. Just we go in, climb up. The observation deck is here. There are, these binoculars, and from where we can see certain, just villages and the big flagpole and everything on the other side of the river of North Korea. Actually, what we are planning, but what I cannot promise we are going to go, is this. This is the joint security area. This is where North Korea meets South Korea at point zero. Here you see these barracks here. Half of the barracks are in the North Korean side, and the other half is in the South Korean side. And there is this concrete line going on all the way. If you follow my cursor here, that is the actual border. that divides the peninsula, right? And this photo was taken actually not from the southern side, but from the northern side. I took the photo in 2000. This photo I took in 2009, and I was in the northern part. These are the North Korean soldiers, and these are the South Korean soldiers. And this is another observation tower, observation deck. And these are the visitors from South Korean side. Just to close up here, as we see, these are South Korean soldiers. These are North Korean soldiers. Soldier one of them we see here, the barracks. And this is the location where, a couple of years ago, President Trump went and just walked over that concrete borderline and shook the hand of Kim Jong-un. So this is that area. So if possible, because sometimes they open it up, but it is not a promise. If they open it up, if it is possible, instead of going to the other observation tower, we will go here. But that is, it depends on the conditions. This was our last trip with World Affairs Council to North Korea. And this is me here, and this is our group. And again, this photo was taken from the North Korean side, and this building is in the South Korean side. So if possible, we'll be on the other side of the border this time. If not, we'll see. We'll be at the Orusan Unification Tower next to the river. So this will be our visit of our excursion to the demilitarized zone, and then back to Seoul. Now, the following day is for the modern part of Seoul, Gangnam Square. The modern part with high rises and huge malls and wide avenues, boulevards. The today's culture that Korea is known with K-pop and with its food and with its music and dances, that takes place here. The Gangnam Square, if you are familiar with, or if you were following the news and the popular culture recently, well, about 5-6 years ago, I suppose, there was this Korean singer, Psy. He became world famous with the Gangnam Style song and dance, and his that single song Gangnam Style, you can find it up on YouTube, was watched by more than 1 billion people. That was the record at the time. So that song is about this Gangnam, the lifestyle of this neighborhood here, which is the nightlife, the nightclubs and restaurants and youth. So we will visit this area, the shopping street, what corresponds to Fifth Avenue in Seoul. And in the evening, people are out, as we see all neon lights with, as I said, bars and nightclubs and restaurants, and everything is here. So we will spend some time in this area, just visiting important landmarks in the modern Gangnam neighborhood of Korea, of Seoul. And one of the important locations we are going to visit is the COEX Mall. That is the world's biggest mall. It has an underground section, totally huge, and it has one of the best libraries, a Starfield Library it is called, of Seoul, that we are going to visit. It's also a very impressive architecture and very impressive place to visit. And we are also going to have tickets for that night for a show, Nanta show, that is like Broadway shows, a show blending acrobatics and martial arts and music and culinary skills. So these Korean performers, they will just storm the stage, and for about 2 hours, we'll be watching this show, and it is really one of the best shows that is now the rage over there in Seoul. And the following day is our day, again, partly for history. This is the War Memorial of Korea, another day, another location that is full of memorabilia of the Korean War. And one of the highlights of Korean history, National Museum of Korea. Whatever is excavated in any archaeological site in Korea, that is in this museum. It is a big museum. It's architecturally beautiful, and its exhibits are really fantastic. So we are going to spend a couple of hours here in the National Museum of Korea. And another location is the Lotte Tower. This is the tallest building in the city, and we'll climb up to 123rd floor for the observation tower, and we will have a full 360-degree view of the city. So that will be our final day. This is a night view with the tower here, night view of the city. This will be our final day in South Korea. And the next day we will fly back home, or we will fly to, we will fly to Taipei anyhow, because just with EVA Air, we'll have to fly via Taipei, but we will fly back home to Houston from there, or spend 3 more nights and 3 more days in Taipei. Now, before going to Taipei, though, let me just briefly mention the Korean food. We will sample really nice examples of Korean food. There are all these small dishes that are served at every meal. They can be various pickles, various stir-fried vegetables, various sauces, and with the main dish of, well, main dish, to call it a main dish may not be that correct, because just all these small dishes, when combined, they add up to, a big portion. And of course, seafood is important. And this is one of the main dishes, maybe one of the, national dishes of Korea, bibimbap. The stone bowl is the most important item, and without which this dish is not possible. It is just one piece of stone that's carved, and the dish is prepared in that. Underneath is a layer of rice, cooked rice, and it is topped with various vegetables, pickles, and most of the time ground meat, ground beef, and a raw egg. And of course, it is hot. Egg is put at the very end, so it will not cook, but you'll mix it up, and it cooks with the heat of the stone and with the heat of the rice. So it is really delicious, and generally it is, just the Koreans like spicy hot, that is pepper hot. So this red we see here, this hot pepper sauce, which we put, at the end on top, and mix it up and just spoon it in. It is delicious bibimbap. If you haven't tried in a Korean restaurant, I would suggest that you can try. And another popular dish, of course, is the Korean barbecue. It can be seafood, it can be pork, it can be beef, served with various side dishes. And it is, just on the table, just you do it yourself on the spot. And of course, it is delicious. So
out of 10, there we go.
Yeah,
this is the end of the Korean part of our trip. And for those of you who are planning to extend to Taiwan and Taipei, the capital, of course, Taiwan, Taipei recently are in news, because of what's happening with the mainland China. And we all know the history. We all know the, today's problems that are going on between Taiwan and China. This island country, the geographically, the name of the island is Formosa, right? And the name of the island is Formosa, and Taiwan is the name of the country. Taipei is here. What we see, it is green hills all around, and it is in a volcanic area, kind of prone to earthquakes, but of course, just earthquake resistant construction is forced, so it's quite safe. It is a very picturesque country and very beautiful city. It also has a modern sides, a combination of modern and historic. This tower we see here, Taipei 101, we'll also visit Taipei 101, the tallest building in the city. But we will start when we arrive there. It'll be, just in the afternoon. We will just rest for the rest of the afternoon. And the next day, we will drive to the southeast of the city to the area of Pinglin, which is famous for its tea gardens. So we will visit the tea gardens. Now, October, both for Taiwan and for South Korea, that is one of the best times to visit these countries. And now, by the end of September, the rains and typhoons, hurricanes, they end. And it is the dry time mostly, and everything is green. So one of the best times to visit the island. So in this Pinglin area, we will visit tea gardens. There's this important tea museum, as tea is the most important item in the area and most important export item. And of course, we will visit one of the tea gardens for a tea tasting. It is really eye-opening to see all the different kinds of teas and how they process them to get that result. And then in the city, one of the main places we are going to visit is Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall. Chiang Kai-shek is the founder of the country. Of course, he was the nationalist leader who resisted against the communist regime of or Communist Party of China taking over the mainland, but he couldn't be successful in his fight. The only thing he could do was to escape to the island of Formosa, here where he established the Republic of China. So this is a memorial hall for him. So we will visit the memorial hall. And also we will visit the National Palace Museum, which has artifacts from the mainland China that were brought in when the nationalist population took refuge in the island, and they brought those items with them. And the following day, we will have another excursion outside Taipei. This is to the town of Jufen in the mountains. This was a mining town at the end of 19th century. It was built as a mining town. It is a hilly area, so there are ups and downs, lots of steps to climb up and down, but it is really very picturesque and beautiful, and interesting town that we are going to visit for the morning. And we'll also have our lunch there, and then we will drive back. It's just full of all these little interesting shops of various food items and antiques and souvenirs, and it is really extremely interesting to visit. Then we'll drive back to Taipei to visit one of the main temples, Longshan Temple, and next to it is the Huaji Street Night Market that we are going to visit, and that will be our final night in Taipei. And then we will fly back on the 26th of September back
October.
home from Taipei. October, sorry, did I say September? So that's the end of our trip. Now let me stop sharing my screen